Hey everybody, this is the next have-to in the 5 have-tos to heal heart disease. Today's topic is eating a heart-healthy diet. You know, we talked last video about questioning your medical doctor, and the only reason is because, you know, typically traditional medical advice is about taking medications that lower your blood pressure, lower cholesterol artificially, but they never really get to the root cause of the problem. And one thing that we know is that an inflammatory diet causes increase in cholesterol, it causes increase in blood sugar, it causes decrease in proper hormone balance, decrease in metabolism. Obviously, a bad diet increases weight gain and leads to obesity. And so all of these things make it really difficult for your heart to do its job. And so the key things that you want to make sure and stay away from when you're eating a heart-healthy diet is, number one, first and foremost, you already know what I'm going to say, it's sugar. You know, sugar is kind of like answering Jesus in Sunday school. You know, 99% of the time, you're going to be right. And it's because no matter what, whether we're talking about heart disease, cancer, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, weight gain, you know, I mean, literally everything. Kids are on ADD, ADHD medications, focus issue, depression, anxiety. Number one thing that you can do to radically improve your health, no matter what condition you're struggling with, is to get rid of sugar. And the way that this pertains to heart disease is, you know, the common myth is that fat makes you fat and high cholesterol gives you heart disease. And that's absolutely not the case, you know. It's the oxidation of cholesterol that causes plaquing of the arteries, makes it more difficult for your blood to pump for your heart to pump blood through your body, you know, which then decreases the amount of oxygen that's getting to your tissue cells. And it's that causes heart disease, atherosclerosis, you know, peripheral artery disease. It's not cholesterol. Yeah, you know, so, I mean, obviously you want to stay away from things like trans fats. You want to stay away from things like hydrogenated oils. You want to stay away from packaged foods, things that are really high in sugar, even natural sugar. You know, eating a lot of fruit still has fructose. You know, fruit has fructose. And so food can only be one of three things: fat, carbohydrate, or protein, right? And carbohydrates is not synonymous with sugar. So obviously, you know, sugar from a banana is a lot better than sugar from a Jolly Rancher or a Coca-Cola, but sugar's sugar, you know, and the FDA recommends that the food guide pyramid, you know, if you follow that thing, your diet's going to be more than 60% carbohydrates, you know, and now leading researchers are showing that you really want a diet that's like 15% carbohydrates and maybe even less. You know, I track my diet and I have for years, and on average, I eat between 5 to 10% of all my calories are carbohydrates, and that way my body can stay in a state of ketosis, where my body's burning fat for energy. But again, the way that this pertains to heart disease is that a high sugar diet, or diets that are high in rancid oils like hydrogenated oil, trans fats, you know, foods that have been packaged that have lots of preservatives, chemicals, artificial food colorings and dyes. You know, these things all cause inflammation, because essentially what inflammation is your body's response to a foreign substance or an injury, right? You sprain your ankle's going to get inflamed. It gets hot, red, swollen, you know, and it hurts. Well, your arteries and your heart do the same thing when your diet stinks. You know, when you eat lots of sugar, your body becomes inflamed. When you eat artificial sweeteners or artificial flavorings or food colorings, or things like BPA from plastics or xenoestrogens or phthalates, all of these things cause inflammation in your body. And so when things get inflamed, they constrict. And now we're talking about blood vessels. You know, so inflammation in the blood vessels causes constriction. That constriction leads to hardening. Your body produces more cholesterol to combat the inflammation. And so medication forces your body to lower cholesterol, but it doesn't actually fix the cause of the problem. So instead of eating these foods that are terrible for your heart and cause cancer, obesity, metabolic condition, diabetes, all these other things too, instead you want to focus on eating, you know, good healthy fruits. And when it comes to fruit, berries and citrus are the absolute best because they're really low on the glycemic index, meaning they don't have a whole lot of sugar, don't spike your insulin very much. But then primarily you want to fill your diet with healthy fats. You know, yes, you should eat some protein, but a lot of these new fad diets are completely wrong in their thinking when they tell you to eat massive amounts of protein, because your body can only process so much protein at once. And if it can't process it, then either your kidneys and your organs of elimination have to work a lot harder to get it out of your body so you could just excrete it, or your body turns it into sugar, and if your body doesn't use that sugar, it turns it into fat. So even too much protein is not good for you. So when you are eating protein, you want to make sure that it's grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, wild-caught fish, raw nuts and seeds. Why is raw better than roasted? Because raw means that nobody's heated them up and rancified the oils. When you roast nuts, and this happens when you pasteurize dairy too. So when you're eating dairy products, you want to make sure that you try to get it as raw and in the natural form as possible for the same reason, because pasteurization, they heat it up, to a really hot temperature, and it supposedly kills all the bacteria, which there is some truth to that, but the bacteria that's in there is not really bad for you anyway. 99 times out of 100, your immune system's strong enough, and actually there's some good bacteria in there, like a lot of probiotics. That's why health experts for the last several years are saying that the best way to get probiotics are from things like raw plain yogurt and kefir and ghee and raw butter and cheese, and that's why. And so the same thing is true with nuts. You don't want to roast nuts. If anything, you could stick them in the oven, at a really low temperature, sprinkle some olive oil or coconut oil and some sea salt or whatever seasoning you want if you want some flavor, but raw is absolutely best because it keeps those oils in their natural form. Your body's able to utilize them most efficiently. And then you want to get tons and tons of this type of stuff. Avocado, coconut oil. We do everything coconut oil in our house. Coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut flakes, and coconut and avocado are just really great forms of saturated fat. And for years they showed, they've been saying that saturated fat is bad for you. That's actually not the case. Saturated fat is actually really, really good for your HDLs or your good cholesterol. In fact, when you consume a lot of really good healthy saturated fat, your HDL to LDL ratio goes up in a good way, right? It's an imbalanced ratio that causes bad cholesterol to manifest into some kind of heart issue, whether it's high blood pressure, heart disease, whatever the case is. But again, it's not cholesterol that makes you sick. It's the oxidation of cholesterol, which is from all these bad fats and predominantly sugar, right? And the last thing, and this is probably the most obvious, eat more vegetables, please. Most people just don't get enough vegetables. You should have vegetables with every single meal of the day. That's why in our family, in the morning, I'm not going to eat a big salad for breakfast in the morning typically, unless I have a scramble with spinach in it or something like that. But in our family, what we do is we make smoothies, So we pack the blender full of kale and spinach, collard greens, and we just pack the blender as full as we can with greens and then put a bunch of other stuff in there. But we also add a scoop of Max Greens. Max Greens is a powdered vegetable supplement, essentially, that's got over 32 different vegetables, and it's like 7 or 8 servings of vegetable per scoop. So think about that. Every morning, I'm getting all these fresh, dark leafy greens, plus I'm getting 32 different vegetables and like 6 or 7 servings of them, depending on how much my kids take. So anyway, the moral of the story is you got to de-inflame your diet if you want to reverse or prevent heart disease. It's not easy, but it's pretty darn simple. Cut out the sugar, cut out the processed foods, cut out the bad fats, replace those things with good healthy meats, in moderation, lots of good healthy fats, and tons and tons and tons of vegetables. I hope this helps you. Stay tuned for the next have to heal heart disease. We're going to talk all about exercise.